So we are continuing our going through some of the hymns of the new hymnal. We're on 626. My heart is filled with thankfulness, so we are at the Thanksgiving theme.
626.
626. This one I think would be an easy enough one to sing. The melody is very stepwise, not a lot of big jumps in it. It's just new.
My heart is filled with thankfulness to Him who bore my pain, who from the depths of my disgrace and gave life again, who crushed my curse of sinfulness and clothed me in His light, and wrote His law of righteousness with power upon my heart.
And again, like last week, if any of these you'd like to do more than one verse, please tell me and we can do more than one verse.
I have noticed with all of these, they're just texturally solid. I mean,
They
melodies
are.
are new and different, but man, there's not a lot of fluff in these
Oh,
at all.
no,
It
no, no, no.
really is good law gospel, you know.
And so many of them, the music brings that text to life.
Yeah.
It really, truly
Yeah.
does. Like I said last week, there are new composers out there, and we've always had composers like this, but there are a lot of new composers who really know how to do that. To
Yeah.
just bring that out of a person through the melody and the text. It's awesome. So that's a good one.
Well, and then what's he saying at our anniversary that Keith Getty is from Ireland?
Say that again?
I don't know, maybe.
Was he saying at our anniversary that Keith Getty is from Ireland?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, now that you say that, I think I do recall him saying that. I forget the context, but yeah.
I just had surprised me, but
Yeah, I don't know, I'd have to look them up, Google them and find out. All right, moving on to 636. Faith and truth and life bestowing.
Keith Getty was born in Lisburn, Northern Ireland.
Okay.
So that one, lots of 6/8 time in our, the new hymns, a lot of 6/8, kind of that lilting, swaying kind of feel to it. That's what this one is a little bit. I think this one could be an easy enough one for people to get. And again, I will say, like last week, when we're doing new hymns, the pastor chooses his hymns well in advance, that if 2, 3, 4 weeks before we're gonna do a new hymn, whoever organ that day plays through it as pre-service music. And we put it in the bulletin that some of the pre-service music are going to be upcoming hymns that we'll be doing in church, so that you can get used to the melodies. And then after having 2, 3, 4 weeks of hearing the melody, maybe 1 week choir could sing it as pre-service music, and then we'd be ready to do it. For some of the harder ones, I think some of these easier ones we could do, play it as pre-service that day, and then during the service. I think we could handle most of these that way. All right, so now we're going backwards again to 600, because I wanted to try and fit 2 pieces on 1 piece of paper. You know, former teacher, you're always trying to save paper, so you consolidate. So all praise to him.
All praise to him, the God of light, who formed the mountains by his might. All praise to him who names the stars that sing his fame in skies afar. All praise to him who reigns in love, who guides the galaxies above, yet bends to hear our every prayer, with sovereign power and tender care.
This is nice. That's gonna be a nice one. Let the children come to me. This would have been nice. Maybe we just have this a week or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna put it.
Let the children come to me, and forbid them not. To such belongs the kingdom. Come to set your children free. Let the children come to me. Is that in the baptism section there? Looks like,
Let me look this one up.
looks like the other 3 verses are all about baptism.
Yes, yep.
That'll be nice to have a few extra baptism options.
Right after Dearest
Whole lot
Jesus,
of-
we are here,
Yeah.
which everybody remembers. Yep, that's a nice one. Oh, how good it is. Another Getty Townsend. So, there's a lot of Getty Townsend ones in here, and A lot of people know these if they listen to Christian radio, and so they'll be familiar. And also, like I said last week, it's nice that we are having a combination in one book of the traditional and the newer, so that our church can use the hymnal, the Word can use the hymnal. There's a little bit of everything, and that's nice. I think that makes sense.
Oh, how good it is when the family of God dwells together in spirit, in faith and unity, where the bonds of peace, of acceptance and love are the fruits of His presence here among us. So with one voice we'll sing to the Lord, and with one heart we'll live out His word, till the whole earth sees the Redeemer has come, for He dwells in the presence of His people.
Another good one. Another easy one.
That's easy enough.
Rolls right off the tongue.
You know, baseline is pretty tough. It'll take a few years to learn.
Huh?
The baseline will take a few years to learn.
Well,
Seems like few of these are meant to be sung in 4-part, huh?
right.
Yeah.
And that is something that they did say, that not, and we noticed that when the supplement came out,
Yeah.
when those of us who like to harmonize had, it was a challenge. And it's mostly because the way the harmonies are written, you don't have the text, the syllables in the text matching the alto, tenor, and bass notes that are in the accompaniment, and so it does make it harder to sing, and sometimes impossible, because it's just not gonna line up properly. Like, where are you supposed to put the syllable for your part when the melody line has a syllable over here? So I think, obviously, in that one, that would be quite interesting.
Right.
You're the pedal of the organ, basically.
Right.
But again, I mentioned that there is that musician's resource, which has different options. So if you checked either of those two videos that I talked about last week, they do a hymn numerous ways. And a lot of them begin one way, and then you'll hear more of a chorale version of it, or the more normal kind of harmonies that we were used to. So that resource will have other options. Not for every single hymn, obviously, but so if we wanted to do a verse of that hymn, of that last hymn, for example, we wanted the choir to sing in parts, there may very well be an arrangement of that in that resource, so that the congregation could sing verse 1 the way we just did, maybe the choir could do verse 2 in a different arrangement, and then back to the congregation again. So that resource is going to be kind of a cool thing. And that's going to keep growing. As they said, the more new composers are adding in there, because they're kind of overwhelmed right now. There's like, oh, whoosh. But as they get time to put more stuff in there, it's going to have a lot of nice stuff. All right, before you I kneel, and this one is vocation. We just had that word at Bible class not too long ago, vocation. So that last one, that last measure, last two measures. That'll be a little bit tricky.
Before you I kneel, my master and maker, to offer the work of my hands. This is the day you've given your servant. I will rejoice and be glad. For the strength I have to live and breathe, holy skill your grace has given me. For the needs and opportunities that will glorify your great name.
Alright. This one I really like. My worth is not my own. And again, you notice that last one and this one, Getty.
He's got a distinct sound.
Yes, yep. And, you know, like when Wendy said, at that anniversary, and she asked if he came from Ireland, you do hear that Irish.
Yeah, I can hear the bagpipes in the back.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's, you know, having had the opportunity to go there, the music is, well, it's beautiful, let's just put it that way. Irish music just, and it has its own, and again, I think it's the melodic lines, some of those intervals that you can tell almost what part of the world the song comes from by that melody, because
Yeah,
they all
kind of
have
the
that different
lilting.
sort of sound, yeah. So it gets to bring out people's low notes. At the cross, that goes down quite far. And then I'm going on to the refrain. Satisfied in Him alone. So that would be a good one to play before the service and maybe
few
for
times.
even for the choir to introduce it. It's not hard, it's just, whoa, what is it? We're not used to that. We don't really have a lot of hymns that.
We're all
people-
gonna have an Irish accent by the time we're done with going through the Getty stuff.
Alright.
My worth is not in what I own, not in the strength of flesh and bone, but in the costly wounds of love at the cross.
Let's do verse 2, and when you get to that bottom line, skip over. So you'll see in that first half of the bottom line, 1 and 3, you sing that for those two verses. Let's do verse 2, we'll skip over then to where it says 2, 4, 5, and then we can throw the refrain in there.
My worth is not in skill or name, in winders, in pride or shame, but in the blood of Christ that flowed at the cross. I rejoice in my Redeemer, greatest treasure, wellspring of my soul. I will trust in him no other. My soul is satisfied in him alone.
Nice. And again, the words, just everything in it is wonderful. So that's one that one might suggest, even if we're going to have it for that Sunday, and we're gonna say that the organist is going to play through it as pre-service, please look at the words as they do. Because seeing the words first, knowing what it's saying, will make singing it so much more meaningful. Lord, as the day begins.
Could even have I'm thinking like a soloist before church too. In a difficult one, if we can't have the whole choir together, have someone
You could, yeah, you could,
like that one. The second to last line was kind of,
yeah.
I will trust in him no other. Pause. My soul is, but there's not really a rest written in there, but you have to kind of know that semicolon after other.
Well, yeah, so that's simply a text thing. Yeah, I mean,
Average person's gonna be like, okay, where do I?
and-
It doesn't
and-
take much for people to get upset
No, I
nowadays.
understand.
So, to help people sing.
And there would be like, so even before we sang, when it comes to that point in the service, even before we sang it, if you or someone even just said out loud, spoke it, the refrain, I rejoice in my Redeemer, greatest treasure, wellspring of my soul. I will trust in him, no other. My soul is satisfied in him alone. Let them hear it the
Sure.
way you would speak it. And if you're going to speak it, that's how you would speak it, with
Right. Yep.
enthusiasm and, and then when you sing it, they'll realize, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That would have been a good one for today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I can see a lot of these being done in the upcoming year. This is morning, as the day begins, obviously.
25 years till next time.
So on the organ, one might transpose it down, making it just a little bit lower so that we're not hitting that high E flat, because this would probably be the first hymn of the service.
Mhm.
It makes,
Here, you built that one up, Pastor.
I mean, and it's quite high. Can it be done? Yes, certainly. It's just we have to do it with this key because I just can't transpose it that quickly. So we're gonna hit those high. Wendy, you're in charge.
Lord, as the day begins, lift up our hearts in praise. Take from us all our sins, guard us in all our ways. Our every step direct and guide, let Christ in all be glorified.
I would have the choir actually introduce the first couple of verses. Anyway, the first time that we do it. Okay. All is well. Now, this doesn't have an accompaniment with it, so I'm just making something up. I have no idea if it's right or not. But we're just gonna do it.
What is the 12? That means there's 12 measures, beats before,
12 measures of rest.
12 measures of rest, okay.
So, today we will ignore that. But, because I don't know what the 12 measures of rest are. I
Gotcha.
can make stuff up for the accompaniment on the melody, but not that. You wouldn't want me making anything up there. But what that means is, when we get the accompanist manuals, when we get to the end of that first page, there are 12 measures and so about 12 times 3, 36 beats of
Oh, okay.
listening to the accompaniment before we go on to verse 3.
Okay.
It's gonna be something we have to tell people.
Yeah.
Well, so
Don't wanna
in this
sing right
case,
away.
this would be a choir song, I think first. I would think. And there's probably a choir arrangement out there, and there probably is in the resources manual, the musician's resource. But yeah, they're gonna we've never had that before, that 12 measures. And maybe there's a way of shortening that, I don't know. But this is what we've got right now. So that's just verse 3. Skip down to where it says final refrain.
Sunbeams on behind the clouds, and in the dark still grace abounds. All is well because of God's great love. The road of disappointment runs, where unseen mercies wait for us, and all is well because of God's great love. How brightly shines the love of the Father in our Savior Jesus Christ. With faithful hands He fulfills every promise. He will never leave our side.
So I think, have you not done this at the Word?
We may have. Yeah.
So where those 12 measures are of rest for the singers, you've got your praise band probably would be
Sure.
filling in there. This is a really nice one for a praise band, which may be why there's not a lot of accompaniment written in. That to me would make sense.
Is there a musical term for how it ends on a note that it doesn't seem it should end on?
Yeah.
Weird.
You know what I mean? Like, you'd think verse
Yeah.
3 would end in a, like, and that's the last note.
But remember, I'm making this up.
Right.
So-
Yeah, maybe in the.
And there might be, in the accompaniment, there might be something after that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Seems like it should be another line.
Right on the end.
I suppose you could end it on a major, and maybe that's what it does. I honestly.
Even if you sigh, dun, dun, or something, yeah, something,
Yeah.
I'm sure in the accompaniment there is.
Yeah, next month when that comes out, we'll be able to figure that out. Okay,
I'm sure it's gonna help with it. I'm sure the service builder will be great.
do not leave, do not let your first. David Haas, another really good writer. GIA Publishing has a lot of David Haas music. GIA Publishing is more the Catholic publishing house, I guess you would call it.
Mhm.
But still, there's a lot of good literature in there, good text, solid text.
Haas or Hayes?
I always said Haas,
I-
Haas.
And it may be, it's funny this comes up, one of my people I talked to this week, they spell their name Haas, and I refer to them as Haas, they said, no, it's Hayes.
Interesting.
Really? I think it's supposed to be an umlauted A in German.
Like a Hess.
Yeah, Hayes.
I've always said Haas. I've
Yeah.
had a family in Amherst with that last name. I don't know. We'd have to ask him. But he does some nice stuff.
He's
I've
not dead
got
yet.
some of his piano stuff. That's just. Alright.
Do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God and faith in me. I will go forth to prepare a place for you, and I'll come back to take you with me, that where I am, you may also be. In God's house there are many places for you to dwell in peace and safety. You know the way to where I'll lead you. If you are lost, I will show the way. Way, the truth to the life. Only through me can you know what I know. If you knew me, you would know the Father. If you see me, you see your God. We are not only of myself, it is your God who lives within me. If you believe that your God and I are one, I will provide when you call my name.
So here would be a nice place for them. And perhaps in the accompaniment book there is an ending. So it sounds ended in everybody's ears. Yeah. So here's a version of a psalm. And I mentioned that last week too. In the Psalter, we have a lot of what used to be hymns in our CW that may not have made it into this new CW, maybe in the Psalter, and that hymn now has become a refrain of a psalm. So once that Psalter is out and about, we'll notice a lot of that. And a lot of the Psalms now do have hymns as refrains, or even as the whole psalm.
Kind of like Pluto losing its planet status.
Huh?
It's kind of like Pluto losing its planet status. It's not a hymn anymore, it's just a refrain for a song.
You have the most interesting way of putting things. Never would have thought of that one.
fortress strong against my foes, and I will not be shaken. Though lips may bless and hearts may curse, and eyes like arrows pierce me, I'll fix my heart on righteousness. I'll look to him who hears me. Oh, praise him, hallelujah, my delight and my reward. Everlasting, never failing, my Redeemer, my God. Yeah, it'll be nice to vary up the psalm of the day a little bit.
Yes, it will. Most definitely. Well, and because there's so many that are hymn-like,
Right.
even if, I mean, it's hard to put it in place of a hymn because that would be kind of in the place of the sermon hymn. But then we could do like you do at the Word. You have 2 hymns basically that are sung before you get to the sermon hymn.
Mm-hmm.
So we could certainly do
Mm-hmm.
that. So, hope and comfort, this one is. I love this one. I run to Christ when chased by fear and find a refuge sure. Believe in me, his voice I hear, his words and wounds secure. Just the text again in this one. And here again, if people read the text first, it just makes sense. That last line. I too had tears, he gently speaks, thus joy and sorrow meet. That is just so powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Just beautiful.
I run to Christ when chased by fear, and find a refuge sure. Believe in me, his voice I hear, his words and wounds secure. I run to Christ when torn by grief, and find abundant peace. I too had tears, he gently speaks, thus joy and sorrow meet.
So when we were going this past year and a half, how perfect of a hymn that would have been. You know, when people were just beside themselves, you know, knowing that they had nothing to fear, but it's still, as that sinful person, you still are scared inside. What is this all about? That would have been such a beautiful one. All right, now calm your heart, also in the hope and comfort.
forevermore. On high to live forevermore.
The buried grain of wheat must die, and long in withered state must lie. Yet springs to light, all sweet and fair, its proper fruit at last to bear. E'en so this body, made of dust, to earth we once again entrust, where it shall slumber free from pain, but from the dead it rise again.
I was gonna say, those are beautiful.
They're gorgeous. God breathed into this house of clay the spirit that has passed away. The righteous mind, the noble heart, the living faith did Christ impart. Ah, would that promised day were here when Christ will once again appear and bring them to their heavenly home who have been buried in the tomb. Can't ask for anything better than that. Ah, church militant. Oh, yeah. Coming up soon. Be nice for affirmation.
It better sound like church militant. Let's hear it.
Yes, John. Spaghetti. He
So-
gets it.
So it won't then.
Yeah, and another one that's awesome for bringing words and harmony together is in Dan Forrest. Oh. If you've never heard of Dan Forrest, look him up. Beautiful, beautiful. Choir has done a few Dan Forrests in the past. He just knows how to bring the music and the words.
See the hand of God in the light of creation's grand design, in the lives of those who prove His faithfulness, who walk by faith and not by sight. We will stand as children of the promise. We will fix our eyes on Him, our soul's reward, till the race is finished and the work is done. We'll walk by faith and not by sight.
What do you think, John? Is it militant enough for you?
Sounds like Irish militants, but I'm used to German militant, you know.
Ah,
but
yeah.
pounding on the piano.
Gotcha. All right.
So you do the refrain after the
So
first
yeah,
verse? Or just after the second?
so the first
Or-
refrain where it says 1-3, that's the one you'd sing after verses 1 and 3. Okay, so like when you get to when you sang verse 2, you would skip that measure that you just did and skip ahead to where it says number 2. And then you sing the refrain. You're singing the refrain
Oh.
after each verse,
Okay.
I think.
Or is it one and two?
No.
One and two,
Yeah,
then
you're
refrain.
singing it after 2.
And
4 and 5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that would make sense. All right.
Reformation.
Not the same Reformation song that choir did a while ago. Anonymous Reformation, may we join with saints of old to sing.
I can't imagine singing any of these with just the text. Like with the text at the bottom there, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Say, you mean putting the melody with the text?
Like, I can't like read.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and they did work really hard in this hymnal. One of the things they did was put more verses in between the music. And in some cases, I think that's maybe why they took out that bottom part, you know, where the tenor and bass line would be, so that they could fit more words in, because I think they found, like if I'm playing communion, you know, and you get to that point when there's not a lot of people sitting downstairs, and you need to sing so people know what verse you're on. If it's over here on this page and it's just the words, and I'm playing over here, yeah, it can be a challenge. So sometimes you'll hear me sing some weird word. What is she singing up there? Oh, because I sang. But yeah, so in this case, but because it's only optional, you wouldn't do this every time you sing that hymn. It's just for Reformation. So the service builder
Allegedly.
has that opportunity to do that, John.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, so like if we chose to do only verses 1 and 3 of this hymn, the service builder allows you to take out the verses that you don't want, and then you could put in verse 5.
I hope you're right. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying this is what it's
No. I know. I'm just.
Because I went and I read up on all this stuff, and it's gonna, but it, you know, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take churches actually using all this stuff, giving feedback and saying, wow, we could really use this type of version of that hymn. Do you think you could do that? Or this is kind of hard in the service builder trying to figure out how this goes, where they're going to want our feedback, which is what we should do. All right, we got to get going. Already played it, didn't I? Here we go.
Your word alone is solid ground, the mighty rock on which we build. In every line the truth is found, and every page with glory filled. Gloria, Gloria, glory to God alone. Gloria, Gloria, glory to God alone.
Holy, 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 this would be, you could put this in during the liturgy as an optional to the song too.
Holy, holy, holy Lord, God of power and might. Heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest.
Just occurred to me. It just occurred to me, keeping all my templates for the bulletin and the service layouts are going to be real hard with all these variants of service parts.
Service builder.
The service builder doesn't put it on the screen. I still have to move it over to OBS.
Oh. Alright, and that's where we ended. That's where we began at this one last week. So,
That was a good little
yeah.
mixture of different ones.
And if any of you ordered a hymnal, I don't know if any of you actually do, and it comes and there's something in there, then you wanna say, wow, I don't know what that's like, let me know. I can do it for you. But like the other hymnal, it took a while to get used to. You know, it just did. And we still have the other hymnal to use. We still have those other liturgies to use. Divine Service 1, I hope we never stop using that, because that's just a wonderful, uplifting. I love that one.
Yeah,
So we have all those options. We can do all that.
Yeah, it'll enhance. It'll
Yeah.
enhance what we already got. and
Yeah.
We won't,
I
we'll still
think
do
it'll
the
be
other.
good, and you know, like you said, we've got younger people that they're used to these kinds of, if they were listening to Christian radio, they're used to all these rhythms, they're used to this kind of harmony. For them, it's probably a piece of cake, slice of pie, as they say. It's gonna be good, we'll be okay, we will survive.
Now, did you say we have to shred these or something, or is that not a bit, just recycle them, or does it?
I think if you take your own, but just don't be giving them away to everybody, you know what I'm saying? Don't be making copies and giving them away.
Thank you for playing through all these.
yeah, thank you very much.